I heard about Cave Rock for the first time in 1970.
I feel like I built my life around Cave Rock.
Like the bluff's always just had that kind of stigma attached to it, you know, like rough and tough and come from the bluff.
Everyone's always kind of just segregated to town, you know. Cave Rock's kind of just been this scary myth.
Like the bluff's always just had that kind of stigma attached to it, you know, like a bit rough and ready, and for good reason, I suppose. You kind of boxed in by like shipping yards and oil refineries and ghetto neighborhoods and, you know, industrial areas. But once you break through all of that, you reach the coastline. It's like this pristine stretch of beach, and there's like sea life everywhere. One of the best waves in the world. I don't know, it's a pretty insane, like contrasty place, but I don't know, I wouldn't have it any other way. I love it like that.
Well, Durban was always the centre of surf culture in South Africa. Yes, there was a lot of stuff happening in Cape Town, some good stuff in East London, some good stuff in PE, but Durban really had sort of that focal point of a vast collection of surfers. Back then we didn't have good wetsuits, so consequently in the Durban with the warm water and the very consistent surf seemed to attract most of the best guys. You know, as soon as we started surfing, we became like really immersed in that surf culture, and it was all happening like around us. And the big thing was they had the first South African Surf Championships, and because Durban was really small, they moved it to the bluff, and the surf was massive, and that was really the first time that the bluff was exposed, I think, throughout South Africa as kind of this big wave surf spot. And that sort of opened our eyes as young kids. Wow, something's happening out there on the bluff, man. There's some big stuff out there. We heard about Cave Rock. I heard about Cave Rock for the first time in 1970. My cousin Michael and I had just come back from competing in the World Champion Championships in Australia. And we went out there for the first time. My dad took us out there on an early morning, like in June. And Michael and I had this like epic session, just the two of us. So of course we went back to the Bay of Plenty, told all our mates, man, there's this insane wave out there. And from that period on, from 1970 onwards, we started hitting it really hard and really started exploring the tube out there. And for us guys, Cave Rock really became the training ground for Hawaii. There was never any localism, there was never any bad vibes. It was just pure, man, pure love for surfing and pure love for that break. Over that period, there were some good local guys bubbling up. Rudy Palmboom started bubbling up in the later part of the 70s, from the mid-70s on. He was sort of the standout. There was the Spowits, they came a bit later. I mean, there was a whole crew.
Ernie, like Tomson, he said to me, hey, please, like, you know, Shaun needs to go and train for some surf in Hawaii. Please, like, you know, I must just wake him up, whatever, give him a phone call from this telephone booth at Anstey's, if I can check there's any potential in the wave, like for that day. So I used to do that, go and give him a phone call from Anstey's. Ernie, it's cooking, come, wake Shaun up, you know, come for a wave. And it was always good to, like, surf with Shaun, like, because he was the master out there, like, you know what I mean? And yeah, so much to learn from him.
Rudy Palmboom Senior, you know, you probably know him as Bully Rudy. If you're floating around the bluff, you could just say, Bully Rudy, where's Bully Rudy? And they'll point you in the right direction. But I remember hearing stories of that guy just absolutely fearless, charging.
He's the ultimate bluff legend, you know what I mean? When you think of the bluff, you think of the rock, you think of Bully Rudy. And it's like, I don't know, he's just insane, man. He's like turning 60 or somewhere around there this year, and he's still taking off on the sets and going hard. And it's super inspiring. I love him. I don't know, he's just an eternal grum.
He is the very quiet, unassuming guy, but probably the best waterman that surfed along that coastline in my books by far. He surfs from 4 feet to 12 feet. I've seen him out there and get the longest tube rides from the tidal pool right across to the end of the reef. By far the gutsiest guy at Cave Rock and knows the wave inside out.
I feel like I built my life around Cave Rock. It has shaped me up a bit because I do respect that place, like hectically, yeah. I'm going to try and keep on surfing as long as I can. It's like just releases everything. It's just amazing at wave, you know. Keeps me in shape, keep my mind together.
As far as Ricky goes, Ricky Basnett, he is a product of his environment. Absolutely, 100% bluff, all the way. Got the tattoos, the long hair, the attitude that just never gave a shit about whatever he was doing, you know. Even his life on tour, you know, just an animal, rough and tough and from the bluff.
Yeah, man, I was super fortunate. My parents have an amazing house on the hill here. Would wake up every morning, walk outside onto the deck and look over the rock, and I could see what I was doing every day, and we'd have a little path going down, cut through the bushes there. So it was pretty cool. You couldn't have asked for a better upbringing, really. Growing up, everyone just charged, you know what I mean? Like whether it's surfing or on land or whatever, you just charge and you go hard, and I don't know, I guess it's rubbed off, and I try to attack everything kind of the same way. Yeah, I think the bluff's like just so full of waves. It's crazy. It's been the best growing up here because you got everything from 1 foot to 10 foot, and when the onshore's blowing, it's got probably the best air sections around. There's so many different spots. You can find a peak like to yourself any day of the week.
You know, growing up for me, Ricky was the guy that had by far the most talented surfer, you know, that had come out of our country in a long time. And I just remember my old man saying to me all the time, he's like, there's only one guy you need to focus on. You need to surf like Ricky or you need to try and beat Ricky. That's it. And yeah, he's still absolutely shredding today.
So after you've been pitted all morning at the rock, it's pretty much only one thing to do, and that's go get one hot quarter mutton bunny chow from Roti Boys. They're like a K from the beach. What's happening, boss?
How you, brother?
Lekker. Those are scrolly, I reckon. Can we get like a...
Mutton bunny?
Yeah, let's go half.
Half mutton
Extra
bunny.
gravy though.
Extra gravy. That goes without saying, the extra gravy.
But I'll make sure it's like the best, eh?
It is the best on the bluff.
You reckon?
Guaranteed.
Thanks, boss.
Thank you, brother.
Lekker.
Sure.
See you later.
Okay.
Oh, my man. Thank you. Okay, so there's one cardinal rule of a bunny. There's no cutlery involved. You go fingers and fingers only. This is like food reserved for like prophets and stuff. You know, it's weird as well, like in times of famine, people would bring out just one bunny like this and it would feed an entire village. That's how good it is. Some people say it's a superfood as well. A lot of athletes in the States, like triathletes and Olympiads, have been known to snack on bunnies before their big races. You can't go wrong. And they got some heat in these things too.
This is Cave Rock, 1985. Probably the first big day. I was shooting with a Perspex water housing and 50mm lens. The sets were between 8 and 12 feet from the tidal pool right across the reef. Paul Martins was probably the first guy that started shooting Cave Rock and getting recognized. First time I photographed Cave Rock was 81. I love shooting from the water because it brought you closer to the action. People that would read the magazines could relate being close to the action. That was the appeal. shooting Cave Rock, it taught me how, if you could handle it there, and I got to Hawaii, it was okay. It's still Hawaii, still the most intimidating pipeline backdoor without a doubt. But it was good fun, and I still love doing it today.
Yeah, well, I guess as far as Cave Rock goes, I mean, everyone's always kind of just segregated to town, you know? And then Cave Rock's kind of just been this scary myth. I think only a couple of the bluff guys really tapped into how good it really gets.
The Rock just has such a special place in my heart. It's like, I've just grown up there forever, and there was just always one wave that I had my best sessions at throughout my life, and I still do. And there's kind of two spots. You got in front of the Rock, which is like the ledge, and then behind the pool, which is my like kind of go-to area. It's such a grinding barrel.
Cave Rock was this backdooring barrel because it came in and it jacked up suddenly on that reef. And you know, you had to contend with that reef. Cave Rock certainly was a wave of consequence.
One moment you're getting like the good swell from J Bay coming through the cold fronts. Next time it's got this ground swell just popping up from backline, just like far out, like you're just paddling out to the horizon, like, you know. It always catches you by surprise, like when you least expect it.
It's kind of just like down to geographics in a way, I guess, the way the bluff just faces the open ocean, and whenever it comes, just gets thrown at it. And the thing with the Rock as well is, even though it's such an amazing wave, it's kind of not really that user-friendly, you know what I mean? There aren't that many guys that come out to surf it with us. Yeah, it's sick to have someone like Dan come. He's probably the best backside tube rider I've ever seen. Well, we rocked up now and there's waves, there's swell, but I think the tide just needs to drop a bit. It'll probably clean it up and it'll kind of move more behind the pool. Yeah, could be a few lucky ones in front of the Rock here, but it's looking promising. I think there'll be a couple of barrels.
No, I think it's going to be good. I'm hoping so. Hate waking up early for nothing.
I remember in 1974 maybe, it was Terry Fitzgerald's first trip to South Africa. We drive off straight off from the airport to the Rock, and it's perfect 6 to 8 feet, flawless. And I remember Terry paddling onto his first wave, and he's just got off the plane, dropping in, pulling into the barrel, riding right through that barrel and coming out with his afro still dry. It was awesome. And he was just like so stoked, you know, welcome to South Africa.
It was the dream of having an unknown guy just hang with Tom and possibly give as good as he took.
You treat me as a bag of oranges, bro. Yo, you on the team. So.
Frankie Oberholzer, basically one of the OGs of free surfing in this world ever.
Hi everyone, I'm Michel Bourez. Welcome to the Red Bull Surfing YouTube channel. So this is the best place to get all the content from Red Bull, Airborne, All In, 21 days and no contest. Click here to subscribe and click over here to see the latest Red Bull content.